Would you be the jerk for leaving a birthday party because someone made a racist request? We'll get into that in a bit, but first, am I the jerk for laughing at my sister-in-law and telling her I have zero desire to raise her child? I, 44-year-old female, am married to my hubby Jimmy, 48-year-old male, for over 2 decades. My parents died suddenly in a car accident 10 years ago. I have a younger sister, Abigail, 39-year-old female, with Down syndrome, and Jimmy and I are guardians. Abigail is my sweet angel on earth. When my parents passed, I was a working mother of 3 young kids, helping to build our family business with my husband. At first, Abigail lived with us full-time. Jimmy has always been at my side with her care and loves her to bits. After a few months, we realized that my sister needed more attention than we could give her. There was just not enough time in the day. We discussed what would be best for her and decided to put her into a private adult home for special needs people. It's very costly, over $10,000 a month, and comes from our own finances. The facility does all sorts of activities and field trips. She loves her home, her friends, and the special days the facility hosts. We're always stopping by to either visit, sign her out on holidays to spend with family, keep her overnight for special sleepovers with my kids, and take her on every vacation with us. We never go more than 24 hours without one of us making sure she's okay. Now on to the issue. I have a sister-in-law, Jenny, 42-year-old female, who had her first child after years of trying. She's become the typical first-time mom who believes she invented motherhood and is openly opinionated about things she believes other parents fall short on. I mostly ignore her, and so does Jimmy. We hosted a barbecue at my house for Labor Day with my father-in-law, mother-in-law, Jenny, her husband, baby, and my kids. Abigail had a planned trip to the zoo and asked if she could go. Of course, we said okay. While we were eating, Jenny turned to me and asked me where Abigail was. Her tone was more accusatory than questioning. I simply didn't want to get into it with Jenny, so I said Abigail wanted to stay at the home. Jenny then turned to her hubby and said, "See, this is why it won't ever happen." My mother-in-law asked Jenny what she was talking about. Jenny, all snarky, said to the whole table, "We did our wills last week and knew these two wouldn't be suitable as guardians of our baby if something happened to us. They tossed her sister into a home rather than be real family to her. I won't let that happen to my child." I didn't let it show, but I was extremely hurt she could say this. Instead of yelling, I laughed at her and said, "Well, that's great news since I have zero desire to raise your kid." More was said, but that's the gist of it. Jenny left with her family calling me nasty swear words as she walked out. I might have said a few swear words myself right back at her. It's been over a month now, and Jimmy is still getting nasty texts from Jenny demanding I apologize. My mother-in-law knows she overstepped with her comment, but is asking me to be the bigger person and say sorry to keep the peace. I refuse. Am I the jerk? I don't blame OP. The bottom line is, Jenny over here can judge all they want, but when Abigail was in need of care, who's the one jumping out there actually taking care of them? I don't see Jenny advocating to take Abigail in and give them all the care they want. It's something they just have no concept of and no understanding of why it's beneficial to make the choices that they did. Also, hi, I'm Steven, and if you guys enjoy getting to decide whether or not all of these people are jerks, why not hit those like and subscribe buttons down below? That said, our next story is, am I the jerk for outshining the bride? So I, 27-year-old female, am a black African woman. I'm living and working in Germany for a fixed period on secondment. While here, I became quite friendly with a colleague, 60-year-old female, and she invited me to her daughter's wedding. I was excited as I've never been to a white wedding. I asked if there was a dress code or color scheme to adhere to, since it wasn't specified on the invite. I was told the code is dress to impress. Bet. Day of the wedding, I understand the assignment. I wear my traditional wear, which is really beautiful and obviously not German. The garment is green, so no problem there, or so I thought. I get a lot of questions and compliments at the wedding, which I genuinely downplay because it's not my day. My colleague seems colder than usual, but I pay it no mind since she's mother of the bride and could be preoccupied. The bride is downright rude to me, but again, I give her grace. I congratulate her and thank her for including me, and I get a tight, blank stare in response. I keep to the edges of the room as the music isn't really my vibe and I'm just observing how European weddings work. I leave around 8 after 5 hours and go home before the wedding finishes. Monday, I walked into whispers in the office. People actually strangely and more reserved than usual. An office friend pulls me aside and fills me in. Bride's mother is fuming. My outfit was too extravagant, over the top, and inappropriate. I drew attention from the bride and commandeered the room. I was rude and disrespectful. She's told people all about it apparently. I approached the mother of the bride and asked to speak, but she says she has nothing to say to me. I ask her why she has something to say to everyone else about me but not to me, and she calls me an insolent child. I explained to anyone who scolds me that this was my first white people wedding. I specifically asked what to wear and followed the guidelines. Where I'm from, there's no such thing as outshining the bride. Weddings are a fashion show and a chance to wear your best and brightest clothes. They told me this isn't Africa, which was racially coded, and people here have manners. I laughed and told that person to go to heck, so she's telling people I lack remorse for my behavior. I'm wondering if I really am the jerk though. They literally told you the dress code was dressed to impress. Sorry that you went and impressed. Does OP have to clarify and say, oh, so just checking, is there any cultural attire allowed here? I don't think OP did anything wrong here. These people are all just so insecure. This next story is, am I the jerk for telling my sister-in-law she should cancel the baby shower she was planning for me, and that I would prefer not to have one than have one where she doesn't respect my boundaries? My husband and I are expecting our first baby in a few months, and my sister-in-law offered to throw us a baby shower. I was really in love with the idea and accepted, and then my mother-in-law got involved. But my sister-in-law disrespected the one clear boundary regarding the baby shower that I had, and she refuses to let it go, despite being told by not only me, but mother-in-law and my husband as well. She insisted that my half-sibling should be invited, as well as finding bio family from both sides and inviting them. This is an absolutely never thing for me. I didn't invite them to my wedding, and I've not seen or spoken to them in several years. But she's going extremely hard on the "but family" argument. Background: I'm an affair baby. My father cheated on his wife and I was the result. His wife kicked him to the curb and he and my mother stayed together. I was born and they did not take care of me, and when I was 3, I was removed from their care by CPS. None of my biological family wanted me. My mother's family were supposedly good Christians who couldn't stand the thought of an illegitimate affair baby, and my father's family were not in the position to take care of such a young child. My father's ex-wife ended up taking me. I'm not sure why. The fact she was paid to take care of me was possibly the reason. I do know is I was not loved. My half-siblings ranged from 11 to 17 at the time, and they all hated me. It was made perfectly clear to me from a young age that I was never to call her mom, and I was never to call them my brothers and sisters. My father's family were still in their lives and knew how I was treated, and they wouldn't even report it to my caseworker. I mentioned it once or twice, but I think she found it easier to dismiss a kid's words. My childhood was miserable, and I was seen as a burden, and as someone who should never have been born. My half-siblings continued visiting their mom as adults, and all just made it clear they couldn't stand me, and were disgusted by my presence. I just left when I was 16, and nobody ever reported me missing or came looking for me. My sister-in-law knows my background, and she knows that I would never want them in my life again. But push she continues to do, and I spoke to my mother-in-law and she tried to take over more, but sister-in-law insisted that she had offered first. When she brought it up again, I told her to cancel the shower, and I would rather have no shower than one thrown by her when she can't respect my boundaries. Mother-in-law stepped in and is now hosting one, but sister-in-law is ticked because she'd spent a while planning and had paid for some stuff already. Mother-in-law said she'd give her the money back, but sister-in-law said I was in the wrong and I should appreciate her for wanting to give me back my family. I told her I had no family until I met them, and she needs to accept that my blood relatives do not want me, and I do not want them. I know she keeps telling my husband how wrong I was, and he keeps defending me, but I feel bad about the tension now. Am I the jerk? You're in no way the jerk for not wanting people that honestly never cared about you or didn't particularly treat you all that well growing up. At your baby shower, at your wedding, at anything celebrating you that's supposed to be your day. Our next story is, am I the jerk for telling my sister-in-law that she's overweight and she can deal with the truth? I really dislike this woman, so I'm coming here if I should apologize. My brother got married a few years ago to Shelly. She's the type of person that will say something rude, and then when someone points it out, tell everyone it's true, so what's the harm? My mother despised her and actually opts out of most events just to avoid her. I moved back home about a year ago, and at the time, I thought people were just being rude to her or overblowing the things she says. I was wrong. My first proper introduction to her, she told me my outfit looked bad on me, and it wasn't hiding my stomach. I gave a present to a birthday party, and she tells me I'm cheap. I got a bubble gun for a 5-year-old. He loved it. This goes on and on. I talked to my brother, and he told me she's autistic and can't help it. I then talked to her, and I told her I won't put up with her being rude. Now it's my son's 3rd birthday, and I invite the family. I wouldn't have invited her, but I don't want to cause waves. She made a comment about my house decor. I told her it was rude and to knock it off. I lost it when I gave my son a piece of cake. She made the comment that I shouldn't give him any since he looks fat. I told her to apologize, and she told me it was the truth. I told her that she's overweight, that if she took care of herself more, she wouldn't be fat, that this was the truth, and that she's rotten on the inside and her looks are just as bad. She ended up crying and leaving. My brother was ticked, and I was called some fun names. Everyone is torn if I should apologize or not. I get why OP did it. At the same time, does 2 wrongs make a right in the situation? This one really has me on the fence because I'm not sure. What she said is in no way appropriate at all and could really cause some issues with this child while growing up. Does it warrant her appearance and who she is on the inside being ripped apart as well? I mean, maybe it does. I'd like to know what you guys think. This next story is, am I the jerk for telling my son that he needs therapy? My son was bullied back in high school. He's now an adult with a wife and kids. A few days ago, we received a call from my daughter's school. Apparently, she bullied one of her classmates. It was nothing serious, just some name calling. We punished her and made her apologize. My son was there when we received the call and he took it very personally. He is now completely ignoring his sister. Last night he called us to invite us to dinner, asking us to leave that witch at home because she's not invited. I was surprised and asked him what the freak is wrong with him to refer to his little sister like that. He said that he hated bullies and doesn't want them at his home. I told him to get some freaking therapy because he clearly needs it and told him to call us after he worked through his issues and decided to apologize. Until then, I don't want to see him. He called me a jerk and hung up. This story has me conflicted as well because while there actually I think is some good advice in here, which is he probably does need some therapy, cutting them off and just going full blow up like this, probably not the healthiest way to deal with it. I guess I just would have liked to see more nurturing towards therapy, if that could have been done. I mean, I get they're upset, but our next story is, am I the jerk for refusing to let my stepson borrow my 3,000 guitar for school and ruining his freshman year? I've been married to my husband for 3 years now. He has 1 son. The boy's other can't stand me. She hates the fact that their father has found someone after 5 years of being divorced. Anyway, because of that, my stepson Jack and I don't have the best relationship. I'm not involved in his life because that's the way he and his mother wants it. He won't speak to me when I try to have a conversation, so I just don't even bother anymore. I've offered to do things for him, but his mother always says that she doesn't want that woman involved. To keep the peace, I stay out. Now Jack and I are both musicians. I play several brass and wind instruments as well as guitar. He's joined band this year as a 9th grader. Naturally, he wants to play jazz guitar. His mother knows I have several instruments, and I offered one of the lesser value guitars to him, but he and his mother want my 1963 Fender. Absolutely not. For one, he doesn't take care of anything he has, and number 2, why am I going to loan something that valuable out to someone who doesn't want to be around me? Sure, the guitar is worth way more, but I got a deal on it for $3,000. My husband says I'm absolutely right for not doing it, and he says I shouldn't even offer the old Squire guitar either, and it's only $250. His mother has been blowing up our phones, calling me every name in the book because I am driving a wedge in his and his father's relationship. How is that so? She says that I should try and make amends and let him borrow it for the school year. Why am I having to make amends? She even had her friends harass me on Facebook. She claims I ruined his freshman year for band and I need to make it right. I think it's pretty clear OP is not the jerk here. I think as long as OP made a valiant effort to extend an olive branch and try to have a relationship with their stepson, If they've expressed they don't want a relationship with OP, that's fine, that's their right. But they shouldn't expect OP to all of a sudden bend over backward and try to use their relationship as some crutch as to making it out to be like they owe them, or the classic, we go way back, we're family. Funny how that only comes up when they want something, right? I think OP offering anything is generous enough. This next story is, am I the jerk for telling my friend that just because her marriage sucks, mine doesn't have to? Okay, I know that from the outside, my marriage looks kinda dubious, at least the start of it does. I, female 36, met my husband, male 45, when I was 21 and he was 31. He had just arrived in my country and started working as head chef at the restaurant where I was a waitress. We flirted heavily and had some great conversations about things I couldn't really talk to my peers about, like religion being used as a political tool, cultural differences across Europe, classical versus current literature, historical views on women's and children's rights, etc. I made the first move. He hadn't because he felt the age difference might be inappropriate. Once the ball got rolling, he was all in though. We met in July 2009. He proposed in October 2009. In April 2010, I got pregnant, and we got married in June 2010, unrelated to the pregnancy. As all couples do, we've had ups and downs. Ups are the 2 children we have. Downs mainly being discovering the brain tumor I have. It's benign-ish, but messes with my hormones a lot. It gives me frequent migraines, I have memory issues, cognitive functions are sometimes messed up, and I have an increased need for sleep. On top of that, we also found out that I'm bipolar and I have PTSD. I am fully medicated and have been stable for many years now, and the PTSD has minimal influence on our daily lives. I do stay at home though and get disability due to the tumor. To make up for me having a lower income, my husband works a lot. He changed careers and is now working in a very demanding field in another city, which means that he's staying at a hotel from Sunday to Thursday, working 12 to 13-hour shifts. It's tough without him here, but I manage. When he's at home, we share household chores and childcare 50-50. My friend's husband is a POS. He has cheated on her multiple times in the 4 years they've been together. He does nothing around the house, and she rarely gets out because he refuses to do childcare. She has left him many times but keeps going back for reasons unknown. She does love to complain about him though, and is frustrated that I don't complain about my husband. Last weekend, she kept digging into things, calling him a cradle robber, insinuating that he was grooming and abusing me because I was so young when we met, and because I'm disabled. But the last drop was her accusing him of cheating on me when he's away from home. I lost it a bit and told her that just because her husband and her marriage sucks, she doesn't get to crap talk about mine and make herself feel better, and that if she hates her marriage, she should just end it instead of using it as benching material. Also, 14 freaking years later is a bit late to be showing concern. Then I left. I'm pretty sure I crossed the line, as she isn't currently speaking to me. Honestly, I don't think OP did cross the line. I think there's a lot of projection going on here and unjust taking their emotions out on OP. I feel like they're treating OP as their unhealthy coping mechanism by trying to tear another person down, maybe even feeling like, well, if I point out how crappy their marriage is, they can be in the same boat with me. Our next story is, am I the jerk for losing my crap with my half-sister after she started talking about my mom owing her? My half-sister via my dad reached out to me after she left foster care 18 months ago. Dad and her mom lost custody of her when she was a baby and she went into the system. I was 7 at the time, and my parents had divorced after Dad got her mom pregnant with her. Neither shaped up enough to take her back, and none of her bio relatives wanted her, at least the ones that were approached. Dad was estranged from his family, so no idea if they actually heard from anyone related to CPS back then. Mom was approached and told the social worker that she would not take my half-sister. She told me about my half-sister and her being in foster care, and let me know that one day, my half-sister might want contact with me. The day came, and I was like, you know what? If she has questions, I will try to answer them and we'll see what happens. She was very enthusiastic to have me in her life and came on very strong. I set some boundaries and she pushed on them a lot until I let her know that she was at risk for losing contact with me again. She backed off, and we started getting to know each other like the strangers we were. A few times, she asked about my life and my childhood and my mom. One thing she focused a lot on was whether my mom had other kids. When I was 13, Mom took in my cousins, her niece and nephew, after their parents died. My sister was always so weird about that and recently brought it back up again and wanted to know what I thought about that and whether Mom needed time to consider it. I told her that wasn't really something we needed to talk about. She went off saying of course it was. She called my mom a bench and said she let her go into the foster system to rot and separating us when a few years later she could take on 2 kids just because they were related to her. She started saying my mom owed her better than that, seeing as she's my sister. I lost my crap with my half-sister and told her my mom owed her nothing. I said she was not my mom's kid, and my mom would not have been the right person to raise her since she was born from dad's affair, and she should be looking at her bio-relatives to be mad at if she really wants to blame people for letting her go into foster care. My half-sister said she has every right to feel like my mom failed her and should have stepped up. She said she was a baby and she went through heck her entire childhood in the system. She told me I was a butt for yelling at her and an even bigger one for defending my mom. Am I the jerk? I don't think OP's the jerk. I think their arguments are very valid. I think she's just lashing out. If this causes a wedge between OP and their half-sibling, I feel bad for them, but I don't blame anybody for sticking up for their mom in a situation like this. I don't know if it sounds maybe cruel to say, but if I were in a situation where my partner went, cheated, had the affair, had a baby in the affair, and then later passed away, I don't think I would be feeling like taking in that child who was a product of that affair and how devastating that was and is in no way related to me. Our next story is, am I the jerk for telling my mom who my sister asks to walk her down the aisle or dance with her at her own wedding is none of my business and I will not interfere? My younger sister, 25-year-old female, is getting married. She asked our dad to walk her down the aisle and dance with her at the wedding. My mom and stepdad were hoping that she would have both dad and stepdad do these things because stepdad's been in her life since she was 4 and I was 6. Apparently, Mom asked her and my sister said it felt like a better idea to just have dad do it. Mom asked her why, and she said because he's her dad. Mom tried to convince my dad to tell my sister she should have both fathers do it and that he would be honored to share the role with the man who stepped up for us during Mom's parenting time, 50-50 timeshare when we were kids. She apparently told Dad all the stuff stepdad had done over the years and how he loves us like we're his kids, but has always been second to him, Dad. Dad told her he was not going to encourage my sister to do that, and she made her decision. When Mom couldn't get Dad on board, she asked me to talk to my sister and convince her. I heard all about how much stepdad has done for us, but especially my sister who doesn't remember a life without him in it, and yet she's always acted like she only has one dad and not 2. She said it would be a beautiful gift for my stepdad for me to try, and she knows that deep down, my sister just doesn't want to upset our dad, and she probably would have asked both if it wasn't a concern. She said as the big brother, she felt like I was the next best person to have this talk with her. I told my mom this was not my place and I was not interfering. She told me I should want my sister to have the perfect wedding, and this would make the wedding extra special, having both dads by her side as she walks to her future husband. She said it was my place and pointed out how as a brother it's 100% my place. I told her who my sister walks down the aisle with or dances with is absolutely none of my business because my sister is a grown woman and I will not interfere with this. Mom got so mad at me and she said I could have done this for them, aka her and my stepdad. She also said I was making excuses because I could get involved if I wanted to. Am I the jerk? Absolutely not the jerk. The mom keeps going on and on about making this the perfect wedding for her. Well, then let her decide what the perfect wedding for her is. Our next story is, am I the jerk for telling my family the reason I stepped out while my sister gave birth? My sister, 25, asked me, 28-year-old female, to be present for the birth of her first child. I'll call her May. May and I have a hot-cold type relationship, but she's still my sister and I love her, so of course I accepted. But let her know I get squeamish and may need to stay above the waist. May acted like she totally understood this at the time. Still, she would send me home birth videos as that was also her goal. I told her I can't watch them because it disturbs me. I don't have kids or plan to have them, so I've never really felt the need to desensitize myself to the stuff. She wasn't deterred and at one point told me to grow up. Childbirth is natural. The time comes, it's just me, our mom, and her team of midwives present. I'm holding one leg and our mom's holding the other. I'm hella uncomfortable, but trying my best to support, encouraging May and telling her she's doing amazing, etc. But it gets the best of me. I feel like I'm about 2 seconds from hurling, and I excuse myself. I do come back into the bedroom, but keep a bit of distance and cheer her on that way. Obviously, she's busy pushing, and we don't address me stepping away. May's 2 weeks postpartum. Me, our mom, 2 of our cousins, and 2 aunts are visiting, all women with kids, excited to hear her birth story. May is happy to oblige. Then she gets to the part where she mentions that I dropped her leg and left while she was pushing. Mind you, she never brought this up to me, but in front of our family, she was acting incredibly let down by me and what happened. May and one of our cousins was insinuating I was childish for not being able to tolerate it. Like, imagine if she actually had to be the one going through it. And I was like, yeah, I'm child-free for a reason. Their reaction made me feel really uncomfortable. May asks why you couldn't have just looked at the wall or something, and I finally just told her the reason I stepped into the other room was because she started pooping. I smelled it and saw it and just immediately felt like I was going to barf in an already intense situation. I said I would have felt like a bigger jerk if I threw up on her in that moment than if I just left to compose myself. May got embarrassed by me saying this and extremely mad. I understand, but I didn't say it in a mean way or to embarrass her. I just felt targeted and invalidated for having a human reaction, and like I had to explain or defend myself. After May's blow-up, one of my cousins said I shouldn't have told her she pooped. Another told me she understood I wasn't trying to be a bench and that my sister's hormonal. She'll get over it. I promptly left, this was 3 days ago, and haven't talked to May since. Our mom has asked me to apologize. I told her I'll apologize when May apologizes for putting me on blast and mocking me. At this point, I'm fine not talking to her because I want peace, and I feel like this might be something she throws in my face. Am I the jerk? I can't blame OP. They know their limits. They explained ahead of time that they might have this kind of reaction, and they did. Not everybody can just witness the miracle of childbirth and walk away unfazed or, just stare at a wall and turn off the rest of their thinking. OP did the best they could. They were there for them. Yes, they had to step out and compose themselves, but they were there, were they not? This next story is, am I the jerk for leaving a birthday party because of a racist translation request? Going to try to keep this short and sweet. I'm still getting text messages and it's making me more upset to read them. I went to a birthday party for Annie, my sister, female 34. I, male 36, and my wife, female 36, went as we were able to get her parents to watch the boy, our 16-month-old son. It was a normal adult birthday party, as she had no kids. She had some of her friends over and our parents. I'm white, and all of my family are white. Important for the story. My wife is Chinese, was born in China, and became a citizen when her and her family moved to the US when she was 16. She's 100% a US citizen, no green card, and she and all of her family speak Mandarin. My wife can speak English very well, but her family, mostly elders, don't speak a lick of it. I've been learning Mandarin as it's my wife's cultural language. It's cool as freak, and I want the boy, and future children, to be able to speak both of our languages. It's been about 2.5 years and I'm not very conversational yet, but I pick up on a lot of things, can understand the basic gist of most conversations, and I can speak basic sentences like, is the food hot? Or the boy's diaper has been changed, etc. I've also been learning how to read and write Mandarin. Mostly reading right now as I find it helps me learn better, and I sometimes drop cool sentences into the family chat on Facebook. Annie doesn't speak very much in it but will post Fox articles, usually articles about China that are very critical of the government. I'm not sure if she's racist against Chinese people. She's never said anything negative to my wife in any way. So last night, we were at the dinner table when Annie hands me a slip of paper. I ask what it is as I unwrap it. It says Tiananmen Square 1989. And I look up at her and she has this dumb grin on her face. I ask her what this is and she goes, "Can you translate that into Mandarin?" This is where people seem to think I'm the jerk. I got really freaking mad. I immediately started yelling, called her a racist, and said we were leaving. My mom and dad got mad. Annie said I was being dramatic, and her friends, all of whom are also white, didn't see what the big deal was. I basically told everybody off using very big adult words before leaving. My phone started blowing up with text messages saying, "You're not even Chinese, what the heck?" and "You ruined her birthday party." I briefly spoke to my mom this morning where I tried to explain why what she did was racist, targeted towards me and my family, and is unacceptable behavior. I told my mom that I won't be going to the house anymore if she's there and that she needs help. My mom softly echoed what my sister said. With all these text messages, I'm not sure anymore if I overreacted. My wife was unaffected by the whole thing but understands why I'd be upset. I don't know. Am I the jerk for reacting this way? I don't blame OP one bit for acting and feeling the way they do. I mean, it's the same thing as if, like, you as a white person were living in a different cultural area amongst people of a different culture and they were making fun of you speaking English and asked somebody else who knew English to translate the words Twin Towers into English for you to show you. It's kind of extremely disgusting and disturbing, especially when you consider the context behind what happened in 1989. All these other people who have no idea about any of this and have no sensitivity to it can laugh all they want, but I don't blame OP for not finding it funny at all. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another absolutely crazy Am I the Jerk Here story, check out that video on the left. Or if you missed my latest video, check out that video on the right. That said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.